Hey, it's Jason from Pro Guitar Studio. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the Phrygian scale. Now, when anyone hears of modes, often it sort of can lead to confusion or the feeling of overwhelm, like you've gotten in over your head. But hopefully I'm going to make this a little simpler for you today. And we're just going to focus on the sound of this scale. We're not going to worry about the theory behind it too much. I'll explain the theory, but we'll talk about the sound of the Phrygian scale and how you could possibly use it. Okay? So the Phrygian scale is a minor scale. And like I said before, it's part of what we'll call the major scale modes. And all that means is that if we play a major scale, let's say, in this case here, let's play a C major scale. If we start the note, or start the scale on the first note, we get a particular mode, which is called Ionian. If we start the scale on the second note, we get the mode called Dorian. If we start on the third note, we get Phrygian. Now, by itself, it really doesn't have any context, and what you need behind that is some kind of chord to provide that context. So if we play the C major scale, starting on the third note, which is E, and we put an E minor chord behind it, which is the third chord in the major scale, in the C major scale. So an E minor chord with the C major scale notes starting on E, we get the E Phrygian scale, okay? So the starting note that I'm starting on is the name of that particular Phrygian scale. In this case here today, we're going to look at the G Phrygian scale just because, like I said, we're not going to worry about the theory too much. We're going to focus more on the sound, okay? So what can you do with the Phrygian scale? Often you hear a lot about Dorian, Mixolydian if you're doing the blues, but the Phrygian scale can be sort of fun because it's dark. It's one of the darker modes. And we'll say the natural minor scale, which is this kind of sound. It's also a mode, but that is the more common scale you hear in different rock songs. But you'll also hear the Phrygian mode or Phrygian scale used quite a bit as well. So in this case here, the G Phrygian scale, if we start up here, is the third note of the E flat major scale. So E flat major, F minor, G minor, chord number 3, okay? So in this case here, the chords from E flat major are the same chords you'd find in G Phrygian, except we're thinking of G as the home base here, okay? So first off, in that progression I played, I had just a G minor chord, and to provide additional context to make it sound more like the Phrygian mode, I added an A flat chord in. I also added a B flat at the very end too. So I did G minor, A flat really quickly, G minor, and then really quickly B flat, A flat, back to G minor. So those chords together, like I said, they're from the key of E flat major. But we're focusing on the G minor as the home base, which gives us the G Phrygian mode. So like I said, it's sort of confusing, but if we dive into the sound here, let's just start off with the scale. We're gonna play the 3rd fret, string 6. 4th fret, 6th fret, so 3, 4, 6. On the next string, we're playing 3, 5, 6. Then 3, 5, 6. 3, 5. 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6. So again, 3, 4, 6. 3, 5, 6. 3, 5, 6. 3, 5. 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6. And that's just one way to play it. Now, like I said, the G Phrygian mode comes from the E flat major scale. So any way that you can play the E flat major scale on the fretboard basically works for this. as long as we're starting on the G note, okay? But we're gonna focus on this position here because your chord can be visualized behind it, the G minor bar chord, okay? All right, so note name-wise, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat, F. All right, so you can practice with just one octave, up to here, then back down, and then continue it when you were able to fully immerse yourself in that whole scale. So I know it can be hard to do all 6 strings at once, so feel free to just do 3 strings, up to the 4th string, if you need to, and then when you can, add the rest of it. So I'm going to show you really quickly the phrase that I played at the beginning. Really, you could do whatever you want here. You could play anything in that Phrygian scale as long as it sounds good to you. But I played a little trill on the G note on the 1st string, starting off. 3 to 4 to 3, hammer on, pull off. 6 on the 2nd string. 4, 3. Okay. 5th fret, string number 3. And then 3, 4 on the 2nd string. Going back to the B flat and G, which is 3rd fret, 3rd string, 5th fret, 4th string. Slow it down. Okay, that's the first phrase. Second phrase, on the 4th string. 3, 5, 6 on the 4th string. Hammer on, pull off, 3 to 5 to 3 on the G string, 3rd string. 6, 5 on the 4th string. 3 on the 4th string. 6, 5 on the 5th string. And I'm really focusing on those semitones. They sound really cool here. That sort of jump, right? And then I'm going to play 3, 5, 6 on the A string, string 5. 3, 5, 3 on the D string, which is string number 4. And then 6, 5, 3 on the 5th string. 6, 3 on the 6th string. All right, and the final phrase, I did an octave, but you could just play it with a single note if you want to just do the low string. I did an octave on the A flat note, which is fret number 4 on the E string, and fret number 6 on the D string. So I played 4, 4, 6, 6, 4, 4, 3, or all right, so we have this. And my improv was all centered around the G Phrygian scale. Now, the focus point for even my phrase and also my improv is going to be the notes in the G minor chord because it always resolves back to that. Right? So even though I might hit notes that are in the A flat or B flat to sort of focus on, the resolution back to G minor is the important part. So in the G minor chord, we have the G, B flat, and D. And those 3 notes are going to be important here. So most of my phrasing there is focusing on building back to those 3 notes, okay? So here, like, sorry, phrasing's off there, but you get the idea here, ending on the G note. Okay, second time, D note, B flat to G, back to G at the end, right? So those 3 notes, the G minor arpeggio, are important here if you're playing with the G Phrygian scale, just to give it that Phrygian sound. And again, those chords that I played really sort of narrow it down to force your ear into that Phrygian dark tonality. So the cool thing with the Phrygian scale, as you work through it, is that it has what's called a flat second. Okay, so this like semitone between the root and the second note of the scale is really what gives it the sound. That gives it the unique sound of Phrygian. So you think of a minor scale with a flat second, like if you have the natural minor has a major second, which is in this case here from 3 to 5 on the 6th string. But in this case, in the Phrygian scale, we have 3 to 4. That's the sound we're going for. That's semitone, okay? So keep in mind when you're playing the Phrygian scale, the root to the flat 9 or flat second is really what makes it the Phrygian scale. And really we'll say what's unique about this scale compared to other minor scales. So in terms of the formula, we have the root, flat second, flat third, fourth, fifth, flat sixth, and flat seventh. And if you looked at the natural minor scale, the difference would be a regular major second. But in this case here, the flat second is what really gives us the Phrygian scale sound. Plus the chords we're looking at. So G minor, A flat, B flat. That narrows it down. If you played G minor and F minor, that also narrows it down too. So there's a lot of fun things we can do with chords. I don't want to get too far into the chordal aspect of this. But G Phrygian scale, have fun with this, play around with it. Don't worry so much about the theory. Just try to get your fingers used to the notes, see what you can come up with, and let me know what you think. So let me know in the comments below what you think of the Phrygian scale, and if you use this. If you're new to this, let me know if you like the sound. All right. Well, if you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe for more lessons like this each week, and I'll see you soon.